Hello, you're back again after another week off because you are the most useless man in the whole of podcasting.
I'm the most well-rested man in Australia.
I mean, just to give listeners a bit of context, so one of us has a full-time job. The other does very little for a living, but yet the one with the full-time job is always here.
It's
How does
because
that
I'm
work?
filling my time in, and I don't always get back in time.
But so, another week of sporting nonsense, definitely.
Well, I have got one small issue as well. I haven't watched all yesterday's games.
You're the least prepared man for anything in your life. But
I
we will
watched
roll
in
with it.
full the Brentford game against Villa, and I watched the first half of Everton Wolves, and then I forgot to watch the rest.
So basically, you picked two of the worst games of the weekend and you've watched them. Well done.
Yeah, it would seem that they weren't the greatest games.
They weren't.
of the
They're just
weekend.
poor.
So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Villa Brentford, though, Disassi was brilliant. Like, properly
Yeah,
good at the back for
so
Villa.
he was on Man United's radar because he was owned by Ineos at, is it Lille that they own?
Possibly.
So he was owned by them, but there was I believe there was some rule saying that you can't, I don't know, there was some reason that they couldn't sell direct to him. So
I'm guessing
he
it's
ended
the
up going
whole rules between dual ownership of clubs and conflict of interest. And
so he ended up going to Chelsea, didn't he?
the other reason why you couldn't sign him is he's talented and that's not what you buy.
Oh, no, we do buy talented players, but then we ruin them if they were talented. So it's kind of a, it's not that we don't buy people with talent. It's just what we do with them once they turn up with that talent is we kind of get rid of it.
Well, seeing as you've not watched all of yesterday's games, I'm going to start in a different way this week. Just from sort of news of the week, kind of bits and bats that have gone around. World Cup 2026 is going to have a halftime show.
Well, I heard a rumor about this, but I didn't see the story, which won't shock you. And I thought, well, that can't be on about the next World Cup, surely.
Of course it is, because it's in America.
So, like, we're gonna have what, Usher coming out at halftime and singing to us, are we?
Possibly. This very well
Really?
could potentially happen. Or somebody, I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be something ridiculous. It's going to be something stupid. It's going to make the World Cup final a little bit cheesy, I think.
Is it just, it's not in every game then?
No, it's just the World Cup final. So basically, we're doing a Super Bowl halftime show at the World Cup final. Because we now have to Americanize every sport in the world. They must have their impact and input on everything. And I get it's an American World Cup, but
It's not an American
halftime
sport,
show. The halftime show at the Super Bowl works because of what it is. The game takes 147 hours already, so adding on 20 minutes of people singing is neither here nor there. We like to get on with football. It's a 2-hour thing and we're done. We don't want 40 minutes of somebody singing.
There's a hell of a lot of games through the World Cup, By the World Cup final, you're pretty much ready for it to be done, aren't you? I mean, it's a bit like UEFA. It's like Champions League. There's a lot of drab games in there, let's be honest. When you get Croatia playing Serbia, you think, well, I've no interest in that.
You've kind of nicely come on to my next point again without knowing it. There is a proposal being considered for the 2030 World Cup, which will be the Centenary World Cup.
It's
already a mess.
Where we travel across the world playing games.
Yes, so we're going to start in Uruguay, Paraguay, and Argentina for the first 3 games, and then it's going to come back to Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. The new proposal is to include 64 teams in the 2030 World Cup.
And what is it at the minute? 32?
Well, it's going up to 48, isn't it, from this time? So we want to add another 20.
But is this because they've realised that 48 doesn't divide down, so rather than make themselves look stupid, they're just going to add in the rest of the teams to make it divisible?
No, it's just for the Centenary. It's only a one-off plan that we will have 64 teams in a World Cup.
I mean, how many countries is there?
Probably 200 or 300 in the world. But
2? With a football team?
the problem I have with it is I get they're trying to do a celebration, but you're just devaluing the World Cup because literally everybody and the grandmother's going to qualify.
I mean, they've done that with European competition, haven't they? I mean, the Champions League now, they're saying that Premier League are going to get 5 teams in it. How is that a Champions League when 4 of the teams will have won absolutely fuck all?
The Champions and a bit league.
I mean, it's the Champions League, the runners-up, the team that finished third, 20 points behind the leaders, the team that finished fourth that scraped in because the other teams like Man United and Chelsea were shit and couldn't get there, and the team that finished fifth don't even know they're in the Champions League until the final day when they get handed it. I mean,
but then if we do that, surely then with the I forgot the name, the Europa League and the Conference League, we're going to have nearly half the Premier League in Europe next season.
I know we do this a lot. I'm going to sort this out for them. Right, Champions League, winners of all the major divisions. England, Germany, Scotland, whatever. All the winners go into the Champions League. Champions League. It's quite in the name. It's quite simple. Right? Second
clear and obvious
third.
Again.
Yep. Second and third go into the Europa League, Conference League, whatever you want to call it, and they all play in that. And there's no more. That's it. We're done. 1, 2, and 3 has always been gold, silver, bronze. 1, 2, 3. It's always the same. So let's have 1, 2, 3. You come second and third, you go into the Tin Pot League, and you have to play in that. Everyone else doesn't play in Europe. Tough shit.
Yeah, but UEFA can't make billions and billions of pounds if they do that.
But it'd make it more interesting and worth watching.
Absolutely, completely agree. And then again, nice segue into my next annoyance of the week. So the FIFA Club World Cup is due to be played this summer in America. The prize money for that tournament is $1 billion.
Is this the thing where teams are going in based on the last 15 years of results because they beat a pigeon at tennis?
Yeah, vaguely. The winner will take $145 million home. So the winning club has basically solved their PSR. I have no idea.
Who's got £1 billion put into this Tin Pot tournament?
I do know. DAZN have signed $1 billion viewing rights deal with it. So basically, most of the money is coming from DAZN paying $1 billion to have it on TV.
And where are they getting this money back? Because no one's watching it.
From all the people that won't pay for DAZN to watch it.
I mean, I pay for DAZN because I can pay for the NFL, and I pay about £60 a year to watch every game, which I think is fantastic value. I'm not going to pay the same to watch a tournament with, I don't know, 31 teams that I don't want to see and 1 team I do.
But yeah, so it's just been a week of me scratching my head thinking I don't like anything that's happening until the final one that came up at the back end of the week when I got a notification from a well-known sports publication on my phone that said this company to show every match of the first season of the UK Bowler League. And my first reaction was, what the in hell is the Bowler League?
Bowling or bowler?
Bowler.
As in
bowler.
Cricket bowler?
No, as in footballer.
Footballer?
Yes, so the announcement was made in partnership with O2 because they're sponsoring it.
Right.
Bowler League UK is a defining new era of football. It's not. So I've read 5 words and I already disagree. Blending elite competition with high energy engagement, with fast-paced matches, star-studded managers, and an exciting approach. Yeah, not the players. We've got star-studded managers.
A lot of pub league players. So it's like that UNICEF game that they have at Old Trafford every year or whatever it is. There's going to be like a load of celebrities playing, but they'll have like Gary Redknapp as manager.
You've basically nailed it. So, football icons like Luis Figo, John Terry are set to take on a fresh challenge and will be going head-to-head with a team led by Micah Richards, Gary Lineker, and Alan Shearer. Joining them in the dugout are sidemen members Minter, Toby, and Angry Ginge. It's a social media football tournament, basically.
Is it 11-a-side? Is it 5-a-side?
No, 6-a-side. So do you remember the Masters football?
6-a-side? All right. When did 6-a-side become a thing?
When Masters football was a thing on Sky Sports many, many years ago, where all the old people used to come and be quite entertaining.
Not 5-a-side though.
Well, 5-a-side, 6-a-side, 3-a-side, whatever you want it to be. They've now brought it back, and there's a load of YouTubers got involved.
But Masters football was good because it was all the legends of the game who could actually still play football. I mean, there were some people playing football in that I looked at and thought, why don't Man United sign some of these players? Because these are actually decent. You know, can't get around the pitch, but you give them a ball, they can pass it more than 10 yards. That was actually worth watching.
Yeah.
And
so now we have this.
It sort of gave something back to the people who played football in an era where the money wasn't quite as, easy to earn as it is now.
Yep, but no, we've now turned it into a social media event.
Not only have we got a shit tournament, we've also got to listen to Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer every week. I mean, I haven't because I won't be watching it.
Nope, because it won't be on at any point of your world because it'll be on a Tuesday afternoon probably. But there we go. So yes, those are my 3 gripes of the week.
Absolutely.
I do have one other big gripe that we'll come on to in a bit because I may go off on a tangent and it may last quite a while. So I'm going to.
So what has happened this weekend in football? Because we've missed a few games here, haven't we?
Yesterday there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. Liverpool beat Southampton 3-1. Looked pretty comfortable, although they did go behind. They
behind again.
Extended their lead now to 16 points before Arsenal win this afternoon. So Arsenal will win this afternoon, which we'll come on to shortly.
Whoa.
City lost 1-0 to Nottingham Forest and looked
what's going on with City?
Pretty lackluster. And Edison, who I think we will all accept is probably one of the best goalkeepers of this generation, was horrendous. He was beaten at his near post, and it's just, I don't even have the words to describe goalkeepers getting beat at the near post. It's painful to watch. And funnily enough, I did listen to Kasper Schmeichel on another podcast the other day, and he said he doesn't agree with this thing that you shouldn't get beaten at your near post because it doesn't make it any better to get beaten at the back post. But if you don't know where your front post is as a goalkeeper when the ball's on that side, you've got problems, in my opinion. But that's just my view. I've never been a goalkeeper.
The difference I see, and obviously I've never been a goalkeeper, but you are stood a hell of a lot closer to your near post, hence the word near post, than you are from your back post or your farther away post. So there's less net for you to be beaten at. So surely there's less opportunity for someone to score. I saw one the other week, it was last week in the FA Cup, where he just goes high into his near side, and I'm like, the keeper's like almost down before the shot goes in. I'm like, just stand up. Stand up, you save it.
Funnily enough, that goes back to one many, many years ago that is lauded as one of the greatest FA Cup goals of all time. The semi-final between Arsenal and Manchester United, the goal that Ryan Giggs scores. David Seaman actually stands up and he saves it.
Yeah, Seaman's already going. It's the same idea the other day. So he's sort of hunkered down and he's reaching up, but he's only reaching 6 foot in the air. If he stands up, he's got another foot on him and he saves it. But yeah, I don't know.
Brighton Fulham wasn't particularly great game. Brighton have now won 4 in a row, so they're on a decent run of form coming towards the end of the season. Ipswich Palace was a woefully poor game on the highlights I've watched, although Wharton was fantastic. He looks like he can run a midfield, which England have been craving out for many years. Played a lot of...
I saw a rumour the other day that Tuchel's not been to a game yet.
Tuchel's been to loads of games. I've watched him in the crowd. Crowd. And then Everton Wolves. I wrote 2 words as a review. Just crap.
It was 1-1 when I left it at half time.
It ended 1-1. It wasn't a great game at all. Because Wolves are bad. Everton, although looking better, are not the best footballing team to watch. So yeah, out of yesterday's games, there wasn't really much of talking points or much that was remotely interesting. If I'm completely honest, you haven't missed much. I can't fill any more minutes of my day talking about it because I would just get to the point where I'm saying words that don't even make any sense.
Can we go back to FA Cup weekend then and just have a quick moan about the Bournemouth game and the VAR?
By all means, we can go back 7 days because you didn't turn up. But absolutely, we can do that.
Yeah, well, I was catching up on it, and I watched a Bournemouth game where VAR seemed to be in play longer than the ball when they were deciding on a handball, and it took something like 6 or 7 minutes to decide on the situation.
I think VAR broke, didn't it? If I remember rightly. I think something
Did
broke.
it?
Yeah, I think it took
Well,
over 8
I think
minutes.
it's all broken, to be fair. I think it's broken from the minute it was set up. But I mean, I'm not sure what they were looking at. They were going on about handball, then they were going on about offside, and you just seem to just go on and on for ages. I mean, like, again, if you can't decide straight away, can't we just play on?
So VAR goes on longer than we talk about it, and we talk about it a lot. a lot.
Yes, it was, and then there was the second goal that was disallowed for handball. Now, me and you've had this discussion before, and I'm sure
Mhm.
you said to me, it gets disallowed if it goes in off the striker's, if the striker who scores uses his arm.
Yes.
Well, the second goal is an own goal because it's not going in, and it goes in off the Wolves player.
But is the last touch from the attacking player off his arm?
It is.
So that's what
But
directly leads to the goal.
well, no, because if it hit his teammate's arm and then he scored, it'd be fine. So it hits his arm and the Wolves player scores.
No,
So
because I
why is
think
that
it's
not
the
allowed?
guy. He would be seen as directly impacting that goal by gaining advantage by using his arm. I think is what they would rule that one. But I don't know anymore because I don't actually understand any of the rules because
Well,
they've
they
just
didn't
made them
seem
up.
to in the Bournemouth game. I mean, we seemed to be spend more time watching that big screen, looking at what VAR were doing, than we did actually watching the game.
But there was one good thing that came out of the FA Cup weekend last weekend: automatic offsides. Fantastic invention. Well done. Shame we didn't bring it in 2 years ago.
Yeah, and then what happened yesterday?
It's not FA Cup this week.
Oh, is it only in the FA Cup?
Yeah, we've not rolled it out. We're doing it in stages.
Oh my! I was
It's not
watching
like
it yesterday. They were doing that offside decision, and I'm like, why is it still taking 25 minutes to decide if it's offside? There's a line, and I'm like, we've got semi-automatic,
Nope.
automated offside, haven't we?
No, we don't. Only in the FA Cup. It's like English roadworks. We do it in stages, and it'll take forever
Why would you bring it in the FA Cup and not in the league?
because
I
they
mean, it's not like
basically
we're
wanted to.
trialing it. We know it works. You trialed
No,
it in
but
the
they
World
are.
Cup.
They're trialing it in the UK to see if it works how they want it to. It's already been
What, does
used
it
for the
not
last
like
4 years
cloud
everywhere
or?
else. I mean, it's
I mean,
literally.
how can
It's
this? Surely the World Cup was the trial.
yes, and it
I
had
mean,
been
it can't
trialed pre
get
the
any
World Cup to get
more
to the World Cup.
important than the World Cup, can it? You know, I don't think Everton Wolves is quite as important as Argentina Brazil in World Cup final, is it? I mean, you know, what more do they need to test?
Yeah, I don't know. It probably. I mean, the original plan was it was due to come into the Premier League in October, November of last year. It then got pushed back and obviously didn't come into anything. While the FA Cup that we've just
I mean,
FA
I
Cup
didn't know
round that
it'd
we've
come
just had.
into the FA Cup. I just saw that cloudy white mist that goes across and a little foot sticking out. I was like, oh, we've got that automated offside thing. And then
And it
yesterday,
literally took seconds.
I'm watching a game and it's like, oh, it was somebody scored again. It was the first game I watched. It must have been Brentford Villa. Villa scored
Yeah,
a second
The
goal.
Villa goal. Yeah,
And we're back to this again, looking at the screen and waiting. And I'm thinking, well, where's this mucky line on that we were throwing out? And we were just being able to see if we were offside. And now we're back to a purple line that's in front of the red line for everyone's eyes. But then you turn it around and he's offside. And I'm like, well, I'm back to being confused again. I don't know what's happening.
the other bit I have that I don't like about our offside VAR right now is we zoom in to the players that we're looking at, and the pixels are that distorted. You can't tell whose foot's where because there isn't a foot that you can make out because it's just a big block.
All the feet are square. I mean, it's not
It's
fair
just
because the feet are not
pixelated
even
mess.
he's distorting the feet for a start. And then he's attaching it to under his arm and drawing a line down. And one of them's like under his armpit, other one's coming off his elbow. And I'm like, who's drawing these fucking lines?
It was like the other week. There was one of them. They got the right decision, but where they drew I think it was in a Liverpool game. So they got the decision right,
Yeah, I
but
think
they
they
drew
were,
the
yeah.
line halfway through his leg. I'm like, there's a bit more you've missed. Back a bit. It's just.
Yeah, I just don't understand why we've brought it in an FA Cup and not in the league. I mean, surely just bring it all in at once.
Do you know what would be a better idea? Bring it in at the start of a competition so it's all played under the same rules.
Yeah, I mean, all that's just bullshit, isn't it? I mean, we've got VAR in certain grounds and not in certain grounds. We've got it in certain rounds and not in certain rounds. It's the whole fucking thing's just a joke, isn't it? It's just an absolute money-making, shafting people out of any entertainment job. I mean, just score now. I mean, it's got to the point now where every goal, even in a game I don't care about, Villa Brentford, the first thing I do is think, there'll be some review here, won't there, for some bullshit? I mean, the Brentford Villa game, that Wissa, and I like Wissa, he goes down holding his face and like slides on his head like he's been harpooned. They don't even hit him in the face, and Disassi gets a yellow card for it. And I'm like, surely, if VAR's of any use to anyone, just say to the ref, there's no need to book him for that. Nothing's happened. He hasn't touched him. If we're going to re-referee every little thing, let's get some decisions right.
Yeah, because that yellow card, if he'd have got a second yellow later in the game, he then gets sent off.
It wouldn't have took two. I mean, they showed the replay, and I haven't touched his face. It's not a yellow card. It's not even a foul. But it's just if it's going to be there and we're going to get involved in everything, then get involved. And just
so you've seen all of the Villa Brentford game, or all of the highlights at least?
I've watched it, all of it. No, I watched the full. See, I had a new plan this week because NFL's not on. I thought, you know what, I'm going to start watching every game in full to get a better perspective. So I'm not just watching Man United every week. So I watched 2 games, well, 1.5, and then I forgot about the rest.
So your new plan that only actually involved 6 games, you got a sixth of the way into that plan and gave
it
up.
Only started this morning, and I've lost my plan by this afternoon already.
But go on then, Villa Brentford, should Collins be sent off for that tackle? You're going to say no because you're looking at me as though you don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm going to have to say no because I haven't even seen it.
It's one of them, he goes over the top of the ball, he catches him, it's quite forceful. But if you don't know it and you didn't see it, I'm not going to talk about it. This is going really well. This is the least disorganized episode I think we've ever done because you don't know anything.
See it. I feel like I need to have this like, we need to have this conversation because it's very similar to is it the one where he comes off the ball again?
It is, but this one he starts above the ball.
So is it early on in the game or late on in the game?
It's reasonably late on in the game. To me, it's not one where he bounces over the ball. To me, he's gone over the top of the ball on this one. So I kind of think it's different to the one the other week. And I'm just going to start making filler noises in a minute while you scour the internet of the world to see if you can find footage of it.
I will find it. It'll come back to me. We'll move on. We'll move on.
Yeah, because otherwise we're going to look like we don't know what we're doing. Oh, look, we don't. Yeah, in terms of football for this week, I think we've kind of done. So I'm going to move on to something that's Formula 1 related.
Can I just draw your attention to one thing football related before you move on?
Go for it.
Is it Thomas Tuchel's first England team this week?
Oh God, yes, it is. Friday, I would assume it will come out, or later this week.
I've got a funny feeling, and don't quote me on this because I'm not the most. I've got a funny feeling it's either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, it could be something like that. It'll be some point this week.
I just heard it mentioned that Thomas Tuchel was going to pick a team, and I'm quite concerned me that we were going to see now what was going to happen. And
because we play a week on Friday, as far as I'm aware.
We don't. Well, at least Formula 1's back.
Yes, we play a week on Friday at home to Albania. Big game.
A week on Friday, so there won't be any Formula 1, will there? A week on Friday.
Yes, because it's a double header, I believe. We start the season.
Oh, that's all right then. So he's going to pick his first team.
Yes.
And there's going to be many changes, do you think?
We don't have a left back currently. We don't have a right back currently.
He didn't show me the tackle, so I'm just moving on. Well, this is what I'm thinking. So is he going to pick Maguire? Is he going to pick Rashford? Is he going to pick Trent? Is he going to pick Ollie Watkins? Is he going to pick a load of kids and do it that way?
With this coming up,
actually, do what England normally do and just pick the same 11 people that we've been picking for the last tournament and end up with the same result.
I did a bit of making my own England squad, which I probably should have saved. It would have been ideal, but I didn't. There we go.
That would have been good content, that, if you had a podcast.
It would, wouldn't it? Yeah. We sit here, we've sat here historically, and people within the media and people watching as fans have said we have a great squad. our squad is very threadbare right now. Very, very threadbare. We have a lot of options at the
because
top of the pitch.
I think a lot of the players that we rated maybe 12 months ago, we probably don't rate so much now, i.e. Harry Maguire, i.e. maybe John Stones is struggling.
Because he's injured permanently.
Trent's very good at attacking, but one of the worst right back defensively I've seen in a long time. We don't seem to have a fit left back. His goalkeeper's a little bit mental. He seems to be Peter Schmeichel-ish.
Without the quality.
We have Declan Rice in midfield and not really anyone to play with him. Mainoo's off the boil. You know, Ollie Watkins and Harry Kane up front. Harry Kane,
got
very, very good. I mean, I watched part of my new plan, so I watched Bayern Munich versus Bayer Leverkusen the other night.
In the Champions League, yeah.
Yep, watched that game, you know, because I'm growing into the role as a football man. And Harry Kane's a good player.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he wants to, and I think if you're Thomas Tuchel, you've got to go to him and say, you are in the team, you're in the squad, but you're not in the team. We will use you as and where we need you.
That's bold.
I just don't think he can play with Harry Kane up front for England.
I agree with you, because I said this during the last tournament, which predates us making a terrible podcast, that he wasn't fit and shouldn't have played, and he needed dropping. The problem is who comes in his place.
Well,
so if you can answer that, you're better than me.
I can't answer that, I don't think. But
well done.
The solution isn't just to keep playing Harry Kane. So we've now got to come to a point where we say, right, we don't know who we're playing, but we need to find out who we're playing, don't we? So whether it's a youngster, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty banding about, although no teams are using them. I've got a whole podcast on that if anyone wants to listen to it. But we've got to find a solution. There's no point just keep saying, well, we've only got Harry Kane, so we'll play Harry Kane. That's not a fucking solution, is it? That's just repeating the same idiot
move
plan every month, every tournament. Harry Kane isn't mobile enough and young enough to lead the line for England anymore. He isn't the solution to the problem.
He's a sort of last
problem for 20 minutes a game, getting you a goal. When you're in extra time, you know you can possibly going to go penalties. He's a tall, big, strong player. You can throw him on in a game when you need a goal. You can play him against lesser teams to rest whoever you do decide is your striker. Utilise him for what he is. He's a player at the back end of his career, playing in a bang average league. Let's be honest, the German league is. You know, you take away Bayern and Borussia Dortmund, and you've got a lot of championship-looking sides.
Yeah,
you know, Bayer Leverkusen. Sorry, they obviously won last year, but you know, the bottom half of that is like the top half of the championship. It's shit. So yeah, he scored 30 goals, but where's he scored his 30 goals? You know, he's not. He can't lead the line for England for me. So I don't know who. I can't answer who he puts there because it's. But I'm not getting paid £5 million a year to make that decision, am I? So
true.
He needs to, but he's got to come up with a better plan than what we've had. Because the last thing I want to see is him put a squad of 22 out and it be the same 22 that Gareth Southgate picked, because that's just pointless again. We're back to Man United swapping Van Gaal for next manager and Mourinho for next manager. We're just repeating the same shit again, aren't we?
I don't think there'll be many changes in his squad from Southgate's last squad, if I'm honest, for the simple and only reason of there isn't that many changes he can make. So, and when I say Southgate's last squad, I'm also going to include Carsley's squad in that. So when he brought in people like Walker Peters, Angel Gomez, Angel Gomez, whatever you want to call him.
Try to remove that from my memory. So his team's going to be Pickford in goal, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. Unless Henderson's in the dry.
And
he's going to pick. I don't think he's going to play a right back. I think he's going to play a right wing back.
So you think he's going to go like Man United 3-4-3 or 3-5-2 or 3?
For one, yeah, I think he will.
Right wing back.
But I think he's going to want to get Trent in that team. I don't agree with putting Trent in this team. I don't believe Trent can play midfield. I think Trent's a one-trick pony that is good at crossing the ball, and that's about it. I don't rate him as a midfielder. I don't rate him as a defender.
I don't rate Trent, but again, there's a place for him in a squad. If you're needing a goal late on in a game and you don't want him to defend, then fine. There's a place for Trent to come on for 20, 25 minutes, play him at right back and say, don't worry about your defending, we're losing. Don't give a
Yeah.
shit. Get on the ball, get the ball forward, get crosses in, get good balls into the centre half. That's fine. There's a place for him in a team. I don't know why we can't pick players based on various scenarios. We only seem to be able to pick an 11. Everyone looks at this as his 11. And we have to seem to play the same fucking players week in, week out. We don't play. Every other nation plays to the scenario they're playing around. Sir Alex Ferguson used to finish games where Solskjaer, York, Cole, Sheringham on the pitch. Never used to start like that. But the scenario dictates. And how many times did we score late on? Because that's what you do. England need to look at the game and think, right, we're behind. Let's not bring a right back off and bring a right back on. Let's do something different. Let's take the right back off and let's stick Harry Kane on up front. We can utilise him. He's some use to us then. But we don't do that, do we?
I personally prefer England to go 4 at the back, play a diamond midfield. Is my, but it wouldn't necessarily be a diamond because I would have Rice as your holding midfielder, your 2 wide men, and you'd only have 1 up top because we don't have 2 strikers. So you'd kind of have Bellingham and potentially Foden sort of interchanging for a kind of false 10, false in that area. Because I think we go too defensive and we don't have the players to do it. So you'll stick Gallagher at the side of Declan Rice probably. You're playing Albania for 1.
But again, we do this, don't we? We don't change his lineup based on who we're playing. How many times do you see England play the same 11 against Brazil as they play against Greece or Czechos fucking somebody? And you just think, you can't, there's no need to put, a back 4 and 2 holding players against these teams. You need to have a plan B, a plan C. You need to be Ferrari and go through the alphabet.
I think England, looking at the current crop of players that we have to adopt the Madrid early 2000s mentality. We will never be good defensively. It's not going to happen. So stop trying to build a squad around we'll concede. We won't concede. Accept the fact that defensively we're pretty weak, but also embrace the fact that attackively we are very strong. So if they score 3, fine, we'll score 4, we'll score 5 because we have the players capable of doing it. Stop being afraid of conceding goals and go out and be encouraged to score goals is what we have to do. It's the only way we will be successful right now because Harry Maguire will not save us from anything. Pickford might have a meltdown in the middle of a game and just run off.
I will do. I mean, Pickford's going to have a heart attack because Maguire's going to be running back to his neck slower than I don't know any other player that's ever ran back towards his net in his life.
We don't have a left back. The right back I would have picked would have been Livramento, but he's injured. I would have picked Lewis Hall, but he's injured. So we don't have. We're thin on the ground right now, and he's then going to start picking random people. You're probably going to end up with Ben Chilwell in that squad because we don't have another left back.
And he's playing football at
Crystal Palace.
Yes, he is.
And not doing the squad are not doing too bad, but it's just
my issue with it is, aren't we?
Yeah, Ben Chilwell's had his time in the England team. We've done that. We've tried it. We've played him. It's failed. Just do something different. Anybody pick something different.
Who plays left back for under 21s? Who plays left back for under 18s? Who plays left back for under 17s? Where are all these left backs? There's got to be 2 in every squad.
You'd hope so. If not, I am historically a left back.
Let's go back to previous podcast and let's use these young lads and let's get them playing football in these pointless qualifying games where we play fucking football teams that don't even exist and give them 6, 8, 12 games. Let's not pick them the week before a tournament and take them to the tournament and sit them on a bench in a tournament for no fucking reason, right? Let's put them in from day dot and let them qualify through and get their experience and grow into the role ready for the tournament. Let's think ahead of what we're doing.
Completely agree with you. There's no logical reason to not try it. When you don't have a fit, experienced left back, in the games coming up, you may as well blood a few young players because you're not playing anybody of any.
But they need to play them consistently, don't they? We get this where they get them 1 cap. They give a guy 1 cap, and then they put back in. They put a holding midfielder in place of Declan Rice, and he gets 1 cap, and then Declan Rice comes back in. right? There's 5 or 6 games in a qualifying tournament where it doesn't matter who you play. You could pick any England players. They will beat Albania and Afghanistan and all these other fucking countries. Just play the lads consistently. Play them on the Tuesday, play them on the Saturday, and then said to him, in the next tournament, you'll be back and you'll play next time Tuesday and Saturday and get some experience. So that when we go to the tournament, we can choose as experienced left back or a young left back that's got 10, 12 caps under his belt. Not some guy that we've just thought, he's had a couple of good games for City. Let's put him in and not use him.
I mean, when you look at Tuchel's first 12 months in charge, if he doesn't win every game, there's something gone very violently wrong. So we start 21st of March against Albania, 24th of March, Latvia. Then it's Andorra and Senegal are friendly in June. Then at home to Andorra, away to Serbia, home to Wales, away to Latvia, home to Serbia, away to Albania. He's in the same predicament that Lee Carter was. If he doesn't win all of them games, he's failed already, in my opinion, and I won't be swayed by that in any way.
Yeah, so from day dot now, I've got to look at that and think, I don't need to worry about who I pick relating to whether I pick all the start. I need to pick a team based on who I want to play in the World Cup.
Yeah.
So I need to think, if I need a left back, I need to be blooding a left back now. And I need to be getting him into the team. I need to be getting him up to speed. And I need to be playing him week in, week out. Whether he's the best available one or not, if he's the one that's going to play in 18 months' time, then he's the one I play now. Don't just stick Luke Shaw in because you hope he's going to be fit, because we know he's not. Or playing a right back at left back, Trippier. Just no. Find a lad, find 2 of them, and give them both minutes. And let's get out of this shithole that we're in of playing the same people every week.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's got to try something new, because if he doesn't, as we've always said, you can't keep repeating the same things and expect a different outcome.
Repeat again, isn't it? We're just going to do the same thing. Get to a quarter, get to a semi. Oh, we tried. We did so well. We got unlucky on penalties. No, we didn't get unlucky on penalties. We should have beat everybody that we've played in these major tournaments, because we're so much better than them on paper. But we're so cowardly and bottled it every time because we daren't make the big decisions that the Frances and the Italys will.
Oh, absolutely. And we don't have, as we've said, historically, we don't have the right mentality either.
No.
This is not the first
If you're going to bring in a foreign manager, then you've got to bring in a foreign mentality, haven't you? He's got to put across the German mentality, which, as much as I don't like him, is win at all costs. Don't fucking win. You don't want to be friends with everybody. Don't want to be shaking hands with everyone at end. Win at all costs. Like I said to you, what's he called? Him who pulled Saka back by shirt.
Chiellini.
He should, honestly, 2 players should have gone through him within the next minute, and that should have never happened again. First thing you do, that does not happen to our players. We're all there crying to referee. I'm not crying to referee. We'll stick one on him. And he won't do it next time. But we don't. We're scared of him. So straight away then, Saka's running scared from him, isn't he? Because he knows he can't go near him because he'll foul him. We wouldn't have made that tackle. Harry Maguire would not have got hold of their player by the shirt. He'd have let him go.
I wouldn't have caught him.
But he wouldn't have caught him, would I? I mean, he's a slow defender. The reason he did it is because he knew he weren't going to catch him. But his mentality was, you are not scoring. And as much as I think it's a cowardly move, it's the right thing to do if you're Italy. He did the right thing.
I still stand by it's a red card.
It is. But it's the right thing to do. If you're Harry Maguire, you need to do that to them when they get past you. But we won't. We'll go, can't do that. It's inhumane. It's against, it's against the morals of the game. Fuck that. Take him out.
Yeah, we need somebody who's going to instill a much more aggressive nature of the England team across many sports, if I'm honest. We seem to be
back being shit at everything, aren't we? We're shit at
pretty
cricket
much,
again.
yeah, but we're doing it in a really fun way. So Southgate made it all fun. The England cricket team, as much as neither of us particularly watch it, I've seen bits of news that they brought the account with this Baz ball. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be entertaining. We're going to get the crowds involved. We'll lose.
When the last time we won anything? The England cricket team, last team that won anything for us.
England women's football team, probably the last time that won anything, the Euros.
Yeah, that don't count.
I mean, I don't think we're any good at egg chasing. Rugby, for those that don't understand my stupid terminology, but I don't think we're any good at it.
We're no good at that. We're no good at cricket. We're no good at football. Yeah, we've gone through. I mean, we're not winning Formula One at the moment, are we? A Dutchman's been winning that for the last 4 years. So we're not winning anything at the minute.
Nope.
Again.
Yeah, we've gone into a place of mediocrity. But nice
segue
into Formula One.
I'm going to say I digressed from your Formula One chat a minute ago because I had a little gripe with England, but
You did. So we are 7 days away from the start of the Formula One season, which I couldn't be more excited about. I genuinely
It'll
couldn't.
actually all be over, won't it? Because it's
Yes,
early
it will. 'Cause
hours.
it starts at 4 a.m. UK time next week. So by 6 a.m. UK time, which is dinner time, your time, vaguely,
Is
it'll
it
all be
lights
over.
out at 4 a.m. for you?
It is for me, yeah.
So that's dinner. Oh, nice.
So it starts at 12 o'clock your time. So by 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon, the race
Yeah,
will
well,
be over.
yeah, another 2 hours in front of us or 3 hours in front of us, aren't they? 2 hours, yeah.
So yes, I'm massively looking forward to it. And as we enter race week, the hype will grow even more. But to build the hype for the Formula One season, there is I'm going to loosely use the term documentary series that is filmed around Formula One and the 2024 season, known as
Is the one
Drive to
I don't
Survive.
watch? Oh, it's the one I can't watch anymore since 2021.
I tried on Friday evening, put it on to watch and see what it was about. I get it's not designed for a fan like me who's, kind of hardcore and knows a lot about the sport. But when the show is fundamentally lying to people, making up things that didn't happen, and editing footage to make it look like races were more dramatic than they are or were, I turned it off and gave up.
I mean, yeah, I had not watched it since the 2021 season was cheated by the.
So the Miami Grand Prix last year was the first one that Lando Norris wins.
Comes
So
from
they made an
quite far
episode
back.
about it. Yeah, he got lucky on the safety car and ends up leading after his pit stop, just to everybody driving at a slower pace. What they then proceed to show everybody is cuts of Max chasing Lando, the radio man counting down the laps and telling him the gap is like 0.9 of a second, 5 laps to go. We then get to 3 laps to go and it shows Max stuck to his bumper. That is all lies. Lando won by 8 seconds and was 9 seconds clear at one point. Within 3 laps to go, he was not 0.9 of a second behind. It didn't happen. It wasn't true. It's just all fabricated.
I mean, I haven't seen this. How have they edited that? I mean, how have they even made that happen?
So literally, because after the safety car restart, they were close. And the overlaying, the later radio images and audio messages that say 5 laps to go, and then cut another bit that said he was 0.9 behind, which was just after the safety car restart. And they've spliced it all together to make this dramatic end of a race that didn't exist. It literally didn't happen. Wow. And because I'm a nerd. So, Bahrain, one of the Ferraris passes George Russell. The engine audio that they've overlaid, he was passing him on a straight, full speed.
Him changing gear.
Yes, the engine audio. They were braking going into a turn. They were in a braking zone. He's downshifting and turning. And it's like, this is not a thing. The picture doesn't match. And I can't. So literally after 2 episodes of 45 minutes each, I turned it off because I couldn't watch it. I'm like, this is all fabricated nonsense. None of this happened.
I mean, it went from being a very good show. I mean, I didn't stop watching the show because I didn't like the show. I stopped watching it because F1 cheated, and I find it disgusting to rewatch that debacle. The show was good because it brought people into the sport that thought the sport was boring and a procession, and it has periods, it has years where it is, because there's a potential for it this season if one car's so greatly better than the other one that it starts off like that. But it brought people to the sport that probably didn't understand what the sport was about.
Yeah.
They've now gone down the route of making it a drama series, haven't they? We're into season 10, are we into now?
7, I think it is, season 7.
Well on. It's kind of had its day, hasn't it? It either needs to report on the season and show you the insides of what's happening, or it needs to disappear because it's done.
Yeah.
It's done now. It's kind of gone too far.
Like I said, I accept it's not filmed or screened or shot for fans that are embedded within the sport. It's not. It's not a program designed or aimed at me in any way.
Sport, isn't it?
But my problem is the target audience that it is, which are your casual fans, your people that have never watched, your people that have drifted away over the last few years. You're just blatantly lying to. You're not.
Yeah.
It's like Match of the Day turning it into showing bits of goals and making it out that it was a close game when actually Man City had won 9-0.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I'm yeah, I won't surprise you.
yeah, literally, because I remember watching that race and where I was, and with it being Lando's first win, with and I then went back
Yeah,
just
I
to
mean,
check
obviously, I watched the
I went
race and
back
it wasn't
to check
close.
myself, and they were like, "Yeah, he won by 7.6 seconds," and at one point the lead reached over 9. So with 3 laps to go, Max Verstappen was not
Wasn't
anywhere close
nice.
to the rear end of that McLaren. He wasn't even in
No.
the same straight most of the time.
I mean, at the time of the year as well, had Max been that close, he'd have probably gone on to win it because he had the better car at the time.
Yeah. Miami was the McLaren's first upgrade, so that's what brought
First, yeah.
him back in. But
So had Red Bull been there, it'd have been there or thereabouts. You would have put your money on Max still probably winning that. He wasn't
yeah, and
that close.
Lando had driven away
Therefore,
from him
didn't.
after the safety car. He just drove away at a comfortable rate, lap after lap after lap. He was only within 0.9 of a second for the first 2 laps. So this whole narrative that we spent 20 minutes showing on a TV program, I'm just sat there going, this is all lies.
Yeah, I
Why,
mean,
why have we made something that actually isn't close to the truth?
and of all the seasons to do it, this wasn't the one, was it? Because it was actually a very good season. I know the outcome was pretty much on the writing on the wall from early on, but it was a good season throughout. You didn't
Yeah.
almost need to fabricate anything this season. Maybe in other seasons. I mean, the year after, the season before, it was a bit of a procession, wasn't it?
Yeah, 23, Max just ran away with it.
And it's, you could have sort of seen a reason there, but overall, the season was fantastic. So you didn't
The
need to
reason they've done it
fabricate.
is they've tried, because if it was Lando's first win, they've wanted to make this big dramatic story around it, that it was his first win. It was so hard fought, but it wasn't. Let's just stop making up stories.
But it was a big enough story anyway, if you just
Exactly.
run the truth, wasn't it?
Yeah. You don't
Lando's
need to
first win,
fabricate it.
McLaren back on top, they didn't need to fabricate it, just give people the facts and show them the
Yeah.
racing. I mean,
That's all it
if you
needed to be.
cut down most of the races this season and lose the sort of bit in between where the procession is, they all look more dramatic anyway.
Yeah,
Because you can
absolutely.
quite easily cut out the sort of 10, 12 laps where everyone's fuel saving, tyre saving, holding position, waiting for things to change. If you cut that out, the sport goes up a level anyway. You don't need to then lie, do you?
No.
Is he being
But
involved? Solom, what's his face? Is it his idea?
no, Ben Sulayem's not involved in that. It's a Netflix production with Liberty Media and Formula One, so he was not involved in that. Although the FIA are involved in one thing this week. You're not going to like this, but I'm just going to tell you anyway. There has been a complaint filed already about 2 teams. The flexi wing thing is back, so the rear and front wings of McLaren and Ferrari have been reported by our friends in Milton Keynes Red Bull.
They're a shower of shit, aren't they? An absolute shower of shit. So, who else has been reported? Just
Nobody.
McLaren.
Just McLaren and
Just
Ferrari.
McLaren.
And Ferrari.
Oh, sorry, McLaren and Ferrari.
Yeah.
So the 2 competitors, basically.
Yes. They've reported them that their wings move too much, and so the FIA are heading to Maranello this week to do a bit of investigation, and have said they will put cameras on the rear wings of all cars in Australia next weekend so they can monitor the situation with the whole flexi wing nonsense.
Based on Red Bull bringing it to their attention.
It's a thing that was never going to go away based on last season. Obviously, with McLaren's rear wing that opened a little bit in Baku, Red Bull have continued to make noise about it because they didn't do it. Basically, I can't be too harsh on Red Bull on this one.
They have a load test for this, don't they?
Yes.
And it passed the load test.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't see a problem then. There's a
The
test.
problem being the test isn't and can't be adequate enough for what the teams can do to it.
Well,
So
that's
because
not McLaren's fault, though, is it?
no, so the load
So
test
they're
is
basically working within the parameters set to them,
yes, absolutely.
and I've passed all the tests that the FIA asked them to pass, and I've come up with an ingenious idea, which means that they can get round certain aspects of it. Had Red Bull come up with it, Red Bull would be doing it.
It's the essence of Formula One. It's always been the essence of Formula One. And anybody thinks
it's
not.
always Red Bull that moan about everything.
But if you go back historically,
you look
every
at
rule book that's ever been
Mercedes when they
written,
did the
that's
moving thing.
yeah.
What an absolute! I mean, the guy who thought of that, what an ingenious idea that is. Fantastic idea. Why
But
rule it out of the sport?
that was very close to the bone of altering something with a steering wheel, which is massively forbidden. They got round it because they.
It must have been passed by the FIA to go on the car. They don't
Oh, it
put
was
these things on
absolutely,
the
yeah.
car. That's what I'm saying. The governing body must have passed it. I'm not saying that you're allowed to just do what you want. This goes via the governing body. This is like going to the FA and saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And they say, yeah, you can do it. And then a team moan and say, oh, no, you can't do it. That's not how it works. You have a decision to make. Are you passing it? If they pass it, again, we've gone into this thing. We've made a rule and then we've made a caveat to the rule because other people don't like it. Be the governing body and say, if we approve it, we've approved it. Stay out of it. It's nothing to do with anybody else. If you didn't think of it, tough shit. If you see it and you like it, go and copy it. Fine. But
Oh yeah, I agree, but I think
govern your
this one,
sport.
it's going to rumble on because, well, it will probably end this weekend with the rear wings. So the rear wing flexiness will be monitored under video camera this weekend. The FIA will then decide yay or nay. If they're happy with them, it'll be tough shit. Everybody carry on. If they don't like them, they'll tell Ferrari and McLaren especially to strengthen up their rear wings. The front wing flexing will end in Spain anyway because there's a new load test being introduced, which means they've got to be, I think it's 50% stronger than what they currently are. So we're kind of going to have a two-tier season. First 9 races under one set of rules, second 15 races under another set of rules. Those second set of rules, I believe right now, and this is only a hunch, me looking at, yeah, they've not gone down the flexing route in the last couple of years. They've built a car that is better with everything being a little bit more rigid. McLaren and Ferrari have found pace by making everything move. If they get told their things can't move as much, I feel the second half of this season will potentially favour Red Bull. Depends. McLaren and Ferrari have got time to build things in the
Bugger
meantime.
me. Can you imagine something changing to favour Red Bull? I feel like I'm going back to 2021 all over again. But hey, that's just what Red Bull do.
Yep. But it's what every team would do in this instance. I can't just fully blame Red Bull for this one. I think
No, I don't. I blame the FIA for letting this happen.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, set your rules, set your standards. If somebody comes to you to approve something, if you're going to approve it, and just shut the door on it. There is no appeals process. We are the governing body. We decide that it's legitimate, and that's it. Move on.
Yeah.
Simple as. Just yeah. What's the story with the tire compounds? Why do we have brackets around certain ones and brackets not on certain ones? And there seems to be 45,000 tire compounds.
So the reason you got what you did at testing is so we can differentiate between the 6 compounds that are available. When we go back to actual racing, the tyres will look the same week in, week out. So you'll have the red wall soft, the yellow wall medium, the white wall hard. In testing, because you've got all 6 compounds that you can't.
Because the softs are not always the same soft, are they?
Exactly.
They are the softer compound that they take with them, basically.
Yes. But because testing every tyre is available, they have to be able to tell what tyre is what. So that's why you end up with brackets and a full yellow wall and a half yellow wall and whatever else they did. So basically, for the new season, we have C1 to C6, compound 1 to compound 6.
Right. Yeah.
So if they take tyres 3, 4, and 5, the 3 will be the hard, the 5 will be the soft, or whichever way around it is. I can't remember if the scale goes up or down. No, sorry, C6 is the softest because that's the tyre that's going to Monaco. So if we take 3, 4, 5, 5 will be red, 4 will be yellow, 3 will be white. But it won't change. We're not going back to the old mid-2000s where we had a pink tyre, a red tyre, a blue tyre, a green tyre, an orange tyre, which we did have at one point when we had.
We've got the softs with brackets and the softs without brackets. And I'm thinking, where the fucking hell am I meant to see these brackets? I mean, it's hard enough knowing what tyres Ferrari are putting on anyway, without knowing if they've got brackets on them as well. Fucking hell.
Yeah, no, that
do you want rain tyres or do you want rain tyres with brackets? Just put me softs on. Okay.
But yeah, so that won't be a thing as we come into next week. There will just be 3 normal coloured tyres.
So I've just seen that the outright betting has Lando favourite.
Are you using a British betting company for that by any chance?
No.
Oh, interesting.
I'm using a Australian one.
They're probably too lazy to update it.
Let's have a look at another one. Let's have a look at. I can't find one that's not English, other than the ones that are Australian. Sorry. Oh, that's a proper full-on Australian one here. This is quite a well-known one. Oh yeah, still same.
I mean, we did our predictions the other week. I still think Max has the best chance of winning the title, unless Lando comes out and wins 4 of the first 5 races and gets himself a big advantage. Because I think when these rule changes come in Spain, and I think once Max gets more settled with that car, because it does look a bit of a handful at times.
I mean, they looked rubbish in testing, didn't they? But
I think they were hiding. I don't buy the cars as bad as everybody's making out.
Were they?
Yeah.
As they were.
I don't believe that car's as bad as everybody's made out for it to be. I think there's a lot of stuff that they've hidden under that car. Lando's got to make a big jump early. If he's going to win this title or going to be in a shout with it, he has to be well ahead come the summer break. But the problem he's got is Ferrari might be there, his teammate will be there, Mercedes might be there. They're all going to take points off each other, which makes
it's like last season, isn't it? I mean, Max won it last season by getting out in front early on and then having 6 different race winners in the second, or the last 2/3 of the season, rather than one. Had 1 or 2, had Lando and Lewis just being the other 2 winners, he wouldn't have won that title.
No,
but because Russell won 1 or 2, and Hamilton won 1 or 2, and Leclerc won, and Oscar Piastri won, and Lando Norris won, it spread the points out. There were weeks where he didn't win a race for 3 races and still pulled away in the championship because other players were winning. He were finishing 3rd and 4th and 2nd, but it wasn't the same guy beating him every week. So he got away.
And I have a feeling that will happen this season, because I think the grid will be that close. I get everybody from testing saying McLaren's long run pace
was from the start, and nobody gets that buffer, because, like we said, if the first 10, 12 races of this season are like the last 10, 12 races last season, then that's fantastic, because wins are going to be going everywhere. You just don't want someone to win the first 5 unless it's an English driver, and then just win it because they hang on like Jenson Button did.
I'm going to make a prediction now. The first 5 races of this season will not be won by the same driver. You'll be lucky if you've got a driver that's won 2 races, I think, in the first 5, genuinely.
Which is good, because, I mean, it's good for us because we've got George Russell in a Mercedes who could pick up a win. We've got Lando Norris in a McLaren. We've got Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari. Just hope that they win them all.
I'm intrigued to see what Leclerc does this season against Lewis.
I thought the Ferrari looked quite composed for Ferrari.
Yes, it did. They had a reasonably good test to say that Lewis was new in the car.
Like they were calm, they were composed, they looked together, they looked like they'd got some sort of plan in place, which was quite concerning.
I think Mercedes are further behind than what it appears, because I think they've shown more of their performance than the rest of the front 4 teams have. I'm looking at it.
Their drop-off, their drop-off's akin to Man United's drop-off, isn't it? They've gone from winning every race in the seasons nearly to, just don't seem to understand the car, do they, at all?
No, not a clue.
They're literally Man United are now praying for the end of the season. Mercedes are playing for 2026 to have a total reset and hope then come up with a better idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think we're going to Australia next week. McLaren are probably favourites. I think it's hard to say they're not. Ferrari
Who won
second.
this? Did Max win this last season?
No, because his brakes set on fire. And he retired. Carlos Sainz won it. Max only lasted 2 laps, and the brakes exploded. The left rear brake exploded.
I don't remember that. Why do I not?
It's 12 months, so I don't expect you to remember that. Red Bull will probably be 3rd quickest, or Max will be 3rd quickest. Then I think you'll have the 2 Mercs, and then I think you'll have Lawson. Is kind of in an all being well normal race. There is some bad weather heading through Australia right now on the East Coast, but I don't know if it'll pass through by the time we get to.
Have you seen it?
Next week.
It's actually removed an entire beach, the weather.
That's what's a bit of bad weather.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it'll
but I don't know where that's hit. I'm guessing that'll have gone by then. So if it's...
I think it's sort of passing through there now. So I would have thought another 2 days it'll have gone. But yeah, there'll have been some upheaval, won't there? But yeah, I'm up. it should be dry, I would have thought. I can't imagine.
So if it's dry, I see. I say it's between the McLarens and the Ferraris for the win, and Max is going to have to do Max things to get into that group, I think. Otherwise, he may, for the first race, be a little bit adrift, depending how they get on top of the setup when they get there. That's my
That should make it more
prediction.
interesting.
So after all I've said that, Williams will probably win because I don't have a clue.
Max will win by 34 seconds because they'll put a fucking rocket ship engine in it or something. And away they go.
But yes, we are now less than 7 days away.
So the cars are on track Friday, aren't they? And it's a massive weekend of racing, isn't it, as well? There's races on throughout it.
Yes, so the Australia event is always quite well stacked out from a local perspective.
Formula 1, Formula 2, Formula 3.
Definitely F2. Whether F3 is there as well, I'm not 100% certain. But I would assume so.
For definite, because they've got 4 events there. I'm sure there's the Porsche Super Cup or one version of the Porsche racing teams going. It looks absolutely.
So F3 does start in Melbourne as well. Yeah, so there's everybody there.
It looks absolutely rammed. I mean, they're saying they sold 500,000 tickets, which is making it akin to even Silverstone, doesn't it?
Yeah, because I think Silverstone only did about 480,000 last year, something like that.
They're saying they sold 500,000, which is that's a major event, isn't it?
Yeah, so literally everything is a go next weekend. It's unfortunately for us in Europe, which I won't complain about because we get most of the season, that I won't watch F2, I won't watch F3 because it's on in the middle of the night and I've got to get up at ridiculous AM to watch the Formula 1 as it is.
Yeah, but you can watch it for the rest of the day, like sort of recorded, can't you, and catch up on it?
No, I will be getting up at 4 AM.
No, I mean the F2 and F3.
Oh, right, yeah, the F2 and the F3, yeah, absolutely.
There's a good full weekend to get back into it all, which is good.
And then I'm sure there's a race straight after the following week, so we go from one to the other in quite a nice
watching England, doesn't it?
It does indeed, because I don't have any desire to watch that anymore. But I think on that note for this weekend, I'm going to say that is a wrap. Well done for turning up for once in your life.
And I'll see you next
week.
Again
in another 7 weeks.